A year ago, Japan and South Korea came together. Their twin goal, stopping North Korea from getting nuclear weapons and boosting regional trade. A year later, the two sides meet again, this time locked in a trade dispute over North Korea. Japan says South Korea cannot be trusted to implement UN sanctions against Pyongyang. It's imposed restrictions on some exports. South Korea says Japan's claims are untrue and wants an international investigation.
If the investigation finds fault with our government, then we will make an apology for that and make corrections immediately. However, if the investigation draws a conclusion that our government is not at fault, then the Japanese government should not only apologize to us, but also retract the retaliatory export restrictions immediately.
There is anger in Seoul. Calls for a boycott of Japanese goods are growing. The Japanese restrictions are seen as a retaliation after recent South Korean court rulings relating to the Second World War. Japanese companies were ordered to compensate former South Korean forced laborers. Japan insists it's not mixing politics with trade.
From Japan's perspective, this measure is a necessary review of operations to appropriately execute Japanese export control for national security concerns, and not a monetary measure.
South Korea is the world's biggest supplier of computer chips and smartphone displays, with clients like Apple and Huawei. And there are fears Japan's restrictions could hit companies like Samsung. South Korea's ruling party says the government will set aside more than $250 million to protect its companies from Japanese action.
This move made by the Japanese government could be interpreted as the first shot in a trade war. If it is a prolonged embargo, and if the Japanese enforce it very strictly and in a tough manner, and if South Korea cannot get these materials elsewhere, then it could have a serious impact on South Korea's technology production.
The trade dispute may be sudden, but the timing is critical. In just over a week, Japan will elect members to the upper house, an election Prime Minister Shinzo Abe doesn't want to lose. And South Korea's leader, seen as an important force in denuclearization talks on the Korean peninsula, is looking to maintain support for his party in parliamentary elections next year. With neither side backing down, the rift could widen even further. Priyanka Gupta, Al Jazeera.